And welcome those who are always on this channel. I truly appreciate your support. Thank you guys for always bracing me with your presence. Yeah, I don't take that for granted. And if you are new here, I'm Tisha Oliphant, and this is my corporate journey because when I opened this channel, I was still working at corporate. Then I made a decision to take a gap year and travel the world. And guys, came back after 7 months, traveled back to back, learned so much, enjoyed it thoroughly. It was always a dream, and came back and decided to share about how I did it in terms of finances as well. So this channel is based on three pillars, which is corporate life, which could be any career life, a travel life, and also personal finance, how to take care of the money once you've worked hard or smart for it, because it's different for everyone. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Those who share, thank you for just being here all the time and for taking what I share and putting it into practice. And even if it's one person who does it, I know there are people who does it because they come through from my mentoring sessions and they say, oh, I just resonate with what you normally share. My life is all about investing. I enjoyed this topic that you covered on such and such a day. And that's why I keep on coming back, because yes, I am making a difference that I ought to make according to my Christian belief of not bearing my gifts. Nokzola, I see you know Pinky. Welcome, darlings. And thank you for liking. Truly appreciate when you come in, even when the live is no longer live, it turned into a video. Please do like, it makes a huge difference. And I appreciate everyone who does. And today, guys, I'm going to be brief. We're going to talk about a straightforward topic: death and debt. More especially for us Africans. Of late, our funerals, when we lose a loved one, we have turned it into something that has never been seen before, and it leaves us in debt. And I just want to remind each and every one of you that we truly understand. You lose someone you love, you wish you can make up for lost times, you wish you could show off and do the best and give the person a dignified send off, and those do not cost 1 cent. They don't cost $1. They cost a lot of money. So when you lose a loved one, be conscious that that person's death doesn't leave you in debt. We ought to talk about this. And guys, yes, we've spoken about things that are not in our controls, but there's so much that we can do as human beings to at least make a difference. Same as death, costs and expenses. You cannot decide ukuthi the coffin must be less than what it costs, and everything else that comes with burying someone. However, you can cut those costs. You can go for a reasonable funeral. You can choose to take an insurance, a cover while the person is alive, or while you are alive, cover yourself so that you don't leave your loved ones in debt when you are dead. Dead, death and debt. When you are dead, don't leave your loved ones in debt. So, sorry guys. Um, I think before we continue, guys, a few videos that I listened to briefly, there was an annoying sound. I don't know. I'll try and invest Google mouthpiece, whatever they call them, a speaker, just so that maybe the sound is much crisper in 2025. I'm still deciding on my way forward in terms of a channel. When we celebrated the 2nd year anniversary, I had to, yeah, sit with myself and decide where to from here. But we'll talk about that maybe last day of 2024, of how we're gonna move forward and why I started the channel in the first place and what I want to look into. But today it's about death and debt. And I also, GNA says true. Yes, guys, and just be conscious, plan well ahead for your own death, even for your loved ones' death. And we all know there are different covers that you can take. As Africans, we so believe in funeral covers. Others badlala umasingcwabisane, where they club in every month, or you pay a certain premium so that when a loved one or someone that you've covered, and guys, make sure you give the people that are involved the full names and ID detail as it is. You don't want the claim to be rejected because the name was incorrect when you submitted those documents. And please make sure you take these covers with people that are accredited, institutions that are not fly by nights, because with these rural or location masngcwabisana burial societies, others just mushroom, from nowhere without legal structures. And when something happens, when there's a death in the family, you find yourself, you've been contributing to something that doesn't exist, or it was fraudulent. So be conscious, be careful of that too. To save yourself from such headache, go with reputable insurance companies. There are many, and again, like we spoke last week about reading the fine print, making sure you understand what is covered, what is not, what is excluded, the exclusions. Do the same even with a funeral cover. And guys, we all know ourselves. We have a different lifestyle. Other people prefer a simple send off. If you are that person, you're welcome to go with the basic of the basic cover, because we know these insurance companies also offer different tiers, from basic, where you find which is just a coffin, and where you'll be laid to rest, your final home, and maybe in a bus, because they all are different. Then there's the middle one, where they add other bells and whistles, and then there's a premium package. So know yourself, be honest. If umuntu othanda izinto, you've got millions of friends who will be coming to see whether your send off is proper, it's how you lived your life. You cannot be taking a basic and leaving your family to pull in or put in more, leaving your family in debt, because now they are scamming and they just don't want to be seen as though they chowed your money because the send off is simple. This standard package is for simple people who've lived a simple life, who don't want to be showing off when they are normal. But even if you've lived a simple life, but when you go and leave this earth, you want something that is extraordinary, make sure you make provision for yourself while you're alive, because legally each and every person should bury themselves. No one should be buried by others. So nami nje, I shouldn't be buried by my children, or my hubby or my family. I need to make sure that I make provision for my own funeral. So make sure you do that. And there's many ways you can go for. Just make sure they're legit. And when the time comes to claim, they will pay what they promised to pay. You won't find yourself so busy on social media, frustrated. And imagine you're trying to claim, the claim is rejected, you've lost a loved one, isn't as hlangan. And guys, we all know it comes like a thief in the night, when no one has made any provisions, no budget for death. We all are enjoying life, and the next thing, it hits us hard, and you don't want to find yourself in debt after a death. And because our funerals are now top of the range. We send off our loved ones with our Mac and all these fancy cars and there's a certain accommodation or a hall that must be booked with the candles and the flowers and the florist Ilona guys arrangement costs a fortune. You need to sit down as a family. Look at the numbers. Go and research how much does it cost to bury a person. Look from a normal death to a top notch, top of the range, high class, premium send off, and calculate the numbers and make sure Gucci, your cover is sufficient. Because guys, whether we like it or not, when we are no more, there'll be people who'll make decisions that are not even in our will. There'll be someone who'll say, no, Mina, I can't buy the cheap blankets to put on top of the coffin for my mother. My mom enjoyed a certain lifestyle. I want the blankets to be sent from Italy. So while you are alive, and that blanket cannot be sent from Italy, and then someone else is left with it dead, after the death. So while everyone is around, sit down, speak about it, raise your wishes, and if you like things, you want your death to be out of this world, you want the pigeons to be flown during your service, yokushona kwakho, make provision, because you don't have pigeons in your home. So it means we need to pay for those pigeons to be flown out like angels going into heaven. So it is important, because guys, if we do not take care of our death, we leave our families in debt. And then there are those family members who puts themselves into debt when there's death, by wanting to give more, by wanting to show some extra love. And sometimes it is so sad, because you find Uguti, that love wasn't even shown when someone was alive. And all of a sudden, and guys, we know death triggers something. You find even people who would never bothered to ask how the deceased was doing, never checked on the deceased, when they hear that the person is no more, they want to also be so close to the person that's gone by doing certain things, by showing their love. But I just want us to be very careful. Ngoba death of late, during our times, is very, very expensive, and you will find yourself in debt. I've once heard that there was a send off that cost around about 200,000. Luckily, that send off, the children were well off, they were educated academically, career wise, they were doing great. So it was okay financially. I guess you'll never know the person's financial situation, because remember, we all show this facade when the real truth is only known to those people. The pillow knows the truth. I often say that. So, but because of their profession, I assumed and hoped that send off that looked so posh, and obviously it was their parent, it was worth it for them, and for those who came to attend, it kept us talking to say, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. And I hoped and prayed that it didn't leave any of them, any of those children, in debt, because some of us will choose the most expensive casket and not an ordinary coffin. You find Gucci, we don't even afford it. We go for loans. Even that funeral cover only covers a small portion of funeral arrangement. So let us be very, very careful, Gucci. You don't lose a loved one, and while mourning the loss, while grieving, while dealing with their absence, while going through the pain and trying to heal the wounds, you now faced with a debt. because funerals are very, very expensive. But guys, we all have choices. You choose to lower the cost. I'm not saying you can ever bury someone with 5,000 rands. I don't even think the entry level package has a package that costs 5,000, because with us it starts with the minute the announcement is made and the families come, whether they come from rural areas to the city or vice versa, and you must accommodate, buy food while preparing for a funeral. And guys, going to Home Affairs to print the death certificate, it is cost. Having someone at the morgue is another cost. If it's post-mortem that needs to be done because the person passed on in a certain, it is another cost. So Jay, before we even get to coffins and coffin spreads and all the things that we now introduce, now there's even a theme. People go and buy outfits. Guys, it is costly. Be careful of debt. There's is results after death. Be conscious, be aware, and if you can't contribute all that is mentioned by other family members, be vocal. This is what I can contribute towards this person that I loved, and it ends here. I can't give more than that. Don't go and take loans. Don't go and borrow from machonistas just to send off a loved one. It is not worth it. They can't even see it anyway. If you're going to do something extraordinary, something amazing for someone, I would urge that you do it while they're still alive, while they can still see it, feel it, taste it, and while they can still hug you and thank you for it, instead of going into debt because of death. I hope we are clear. And I also want to touch on the fact that if you are siblings and you go and you cover a parent, I'll make an example. There are many examples. It could be cousins going and covering a certain cousin who's maybe currently unemployed or who's living a certain lifestyle, which clearly we are going to, when this person leaves, it will be your responsibilities. But let's use the parents. If you are siblings, there's four of yours, and you decide to go and cover your mom or your father, a parent, please know, Gucci, there's a limit in terms of funeral covers. Legally, most insurers, they will cover up to 100,000 per insured person per head, which means if the five siblings, let's say it's five of yours, three brothers, two sisters, you go and cover your parents without having a conversation at the dinner table or Christmas table, because Christmas, we all come together, and these should be an opportunity to talk about these sensitive, unspoken truths that one day we will face. If you failed as those five siblings to have a conversation, ukuthi our parents don't have a cover, or their cover is not enough, it's only 10,000 rands, and we all know 10,000 won't get us too far, should or when they die, let's maybe all up the cover. Guys, please know, if there's one sibling who's already taken a funeral cover or a policy for that parent, and the policy is already 100,000, and you guys go quietly in your secret space, because I don't know why this funeral thing, amongst us Africans, hey, a big thing, hey, asikhuluma ngayo, hey, we'll talk the day something happens, and then we'll ask when, how much, when. By then it's late, because if all these five funeral covers are underwritten by one insurer, only one person will get that 100,000, because there is a limit. So it means if the eldest son took a cover for the mother for 100,000, and the two sons and the two daughters went and also took the cover with the same insurer without these discussions that should be taking place. When the parent goes, and they also went and took hundreds, it's now 500,000 because it's five of them. When the parent is no more, that mother passes away, the first child to go and claim will be the one that gets the 100,000 from that insurer. The other ones would have been contributing in vain. So that's why things like these should be discussed. Guys, let's be open, let's be transparent. Even if we talk about that cousin who pulls up every weekend and there's no cover for him, and we can see ukuthi I mean, umthwalo wethu sonke, we can't shy away from it, and everyone is walking on eggshells. There's this big elephant in the room. No one wants to start a discussion. If you belong in this family, my corporate journey, be the matured person, be the skillful person, be the person who will start our discussions. And guys, I know with funeral covers, then everyone assumes, hey, you want to kill this person and gain from them. But when you are clear, which you are avoiding insuring one life under an insurer for more than 100,000. Hence, you are having these discussions so that others can go and insure this life with other insurers. So that when the time comes and you guys submit your claims, they don't only pay one person, but everyone gets paid because you've spread the way you've insured your parent. Very important ukuthi nazi ukuthi one life in terms of funeral cover. I'm not talking other things. I'm talking funeral cover. The limit is 100,000 per insurer. So if Ankulumi is top secret, we'll only talk when dad is gone. And because if we talk about it, our dad will go tomorrow. But that's our belief. The day something happens and you guys try to go and claim, boy, oh boy, you'll be in for a big shock because the insurer will tell you, unfortunately, even though all five of y'all came and insured your death, your dad with us, we can only pay 100,000. So please know, even if the one sibling takes a cover for 50, the other one takes for 30, 20, the other one 50, the other, only 100,000 will be paid towards that funeral. So again, you'll find ukuthi ke manje you are in debt because you used to channel your monthly premiums for your father into towards this insurance company, and now you could have been saving that amount. You could have been buying shares with that amount. You could have been investing, or paying off the debts that you already have. And here you were busy covering your parent without having discussions with other family members. And it's not only siblings. We know others are covered by aunts and uncles. It is important to know ukuthi only 100,000 will be paid by an insurer for life. However, if you go and take a cover with different insurers or insurance companies, that is different. Now, it's still kept up to 100,000. I hope this is clear. And I would love to urge you before I close and sign out, because we can't talk for hours in terms of death and debt. It's straightforward. Let us not find ourselves in debt because of death. Let us be disciplined. I want to say to you guys, we Africans, Black people, have a tendency of thinking we build a wealth through funeral covers. Funeral covers are not a wealth building vehicle. There are other investment classes or asset classes you can use to build a wealth. Please don't use a funeral cover. It is not worth it. Hi, Shabalala. Hi, sis. Please try and decide. Like I said, we are all different. We live a different lifestyle. We know what we would love, our wishes when we are no more. More especially, guys, if you are working, you can call the shots about your own death, not where you expect people to arrange it for you and you are just making demands. So be truthful with yourself, sit down with yourself and decide what cover will be enough for you. Guys, and it's not a thumb suck, just like a retirement amount. You don't sit and say, I think 3 million will be enough, 10 million will be enough. No, there's tools that needs to be used where we look at you. How old will be your children when you retire? How many years do you still have? How much do you earn? What are your expenses? When you retire, how much can you live off from? Same thing with a funeral cover. Get someone who will be able to assist you, or be honest and look into the current packages. How much does it cost to bury someone, from the cheapest or affordable cover rather up to the most expensive, and decide where would you like to fall in, and already work on the numbers. How much will be needed by your family for your funeral? And then start now making provisions for that. Start now taking a cover, an insurance for a funeral. But don't use my funeral cover as a life, as though they replace your life cover. The amount that you're gonna take for your preferred funeral of your dreams, should be the amount that you will take cover for. Not less, not more. And then use other wealth building assets or vehicles to build on your assets, because siyazi abamhlophe, they use things like investments, things like life covers to fast track wealth building, when us blacks have 5 funeral covers, and some people don't even know which there's a limit of 100,000 per insurer. So you're busy contributing. You've covered yourself for 200,000 with the same insurer, not realizing Gucci they will only pay. And Nabungas Gucci, why they don't mention it, why they don't have systems that are linked to Gucci. If you go, or someone, but I guess it will be difficult to even know that you are related. They are your siblings. If we all go take different covers for the same person with the same insurer, to say, no, guys, you've reached your limit. Now the other siblings needs to go next door. It doesn't happen. You will get a shock of your life when it is time to claim. I urge you, Gebuti, don't use funeral covers to build wealth. Funeral covers are insurance covers to cover you in an event of death, and use them for that, and that's it. Take enough, ngoba omunye umuntu, they take home a lousy or less amount, because guys, they've got so many funeral covers. 500 rands goes there, all for in the name of dying. 600 rands, 200 rands. There's a Masngcwabane there. There's another one in rural areas for groceries. There's another one for airtime. Guys, don't do that. So as the year, oh, happy new month, 1st of December. Guys, you see, I got much. We are bidding this year goodbye, and it is time we should sit down and look into our financial state. So this is the perfect time to say, yes, I do have a funeral cover. Is it enough for what my wishes are in terms of my funeral? I do have funeral covers. What are they for? Am I using these funeral covers to set my children free financially, to make them, to build wealth, and then decide to go to you cutting down, guys? It's okay. I know you would have lost out from the contributions that you would have made for the past 5 years, 10 years, but what's the point of continuing contributing to something that is not even gonna serve the right purpose. So sometimes we ought to cut our losses. I'm not saying lapse your funeral cover. You will need it. Maybe you'll need two. If definitely you need about 300,000 for your funeral, but please know there's no point in having 5 funeral covers. Rather have other asset classes to build your wealth. Rather channel your money in buying bonds, buying stock, buying property, paying off your debt. Instead, when a big chunk of your money is going towards a funeral cover. So this is just a bone that I wanted to pick, and I hope Nani you will continue with Niti. I guess see dissect Lendo and see if it's working, and if you've got, because there are people with more than 5 funeral covers, but not even single life cover. Sit with a certified financial advisor that is independent, the licensed one, not just anybody who walks around the streets claiming to know everything, and ask, is it worth it to try and build a wealth with funeral cover? If that person is honest, they will tell you a big no. Rather go for a life cover or ezinye which they will recommend, and you can take it from there. And in closing, do not allow someone's death in your family to leave you in debt. Control your emotions. Guys, our emotions have made us make such impulsive decisions that we regret later on. If you can always be in control of your emotions, you can obtain and achieve so much in life. You can really focus better, and you can yield the best results that you always dream of. So yes, you've lost this amazing soul, but no need in showing off a funeral yama Rolls Royce when you know you can afford it. If you can, guys, be our guest. Go for it. Have fun. Go big. You can have fun. It's a funeral. Go big, and it's okay. But if you can't, don't get into debt unnecessarily. So there's people who are still paying for a funeral that took place 2 years ago, 3 years ago, up until today. They're still paying for those expenses. Is it worth it? Not at all. It really doesn't make sense. And now with our South African culture, there's a after party as well for others. And I saw where there was a package where they even cater for after parties. So they come to the home, set up, and put these, big cooler boxes. I'm sure, what's that famous one? How can I forget it? That Fields one. What Fields? The expensive ones, and they have these drinks. So, and you can just imagine how much they charge you when they go and get you these bottles and put them in these stunning setups, and putting ice, and it's an after party. Guys, it's a trap. Know ukuthi people are in business, and they will make sure they benefit, and make sure you take care of your hard earned money. Be careful of death that leads to debt. So today's topic was exactly about that: death and debt. Don't go into debt because of death. Love you, darlings. Have a great Sunday afternoon.